Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of the Whisky Diaries. My name is Martin Lang and today we're going to be talking about the Shinobu 15-year-old. We did a previous video on Shinobu 10 and the blended ones, but just to recap a little bit on Shinobu if you haven't seen those videos, the Shinobu distillery is about 200 kilometers away from Tokyo. It is on the west coast of Japan and is very well known for the three whites in which it's considered the snow, rice and sake. Now Shinobu started in 2014 and they haven't released their own whiskey just yet. They started distilling then. But the master blender of the distillery basically gathers some of the best whiskies around the world and then he blends them themselves. Mainly is Cherry Cask and a little bit of American oak. And then he finishes them on Mizunara oak. We also did a video as well, if you want to look at it, on different types of wood and how wood imparts some flavors. But just a little recap on what Mizunara is. Mizunara is the name of Mizunara is actually wet wood, and the reason why that gets that name is because Mizunara oak is actually quite porous and as well tends to leak a lot compared to American oak. American oak, the seal is tight, so it allows the whiskey just to stay in place and age really properly. Mizunara oak actually requires a lot of maintenance and you need to know what you're doing. The other interesting fact about Mizunara as well is that Mizunara oak in Japan is very well protected. You can't cut a tree after it's more than 200 years old, so it takes a lot of time and the government protects it a lot. So it's really hard to actually get Mizunara oak to produce whiskey casks. Nowadays, a normal cask will go for $1,000, $600 for Cherry Cask or American oak. Mizunara cask, you're looking over $4,000 per cask, and it's very, very, very coveted. Like people are really looking after it. Any whiskey that has an age has been second age on Mizunara sells for a lot more than the normal counterparts. Like think about the bourbon Mizunara cask finish or the Chivas Regal Mizunara cask finish. There's a few of them out there that they sell for a lot more than they actually that if it was just normal American oak. Going back to Shinobu 15-year-old, as I said, this is a blend between different malts and then finished on Mizunara cask. Mizunara imparts a flavor that is more like coconut, pears, apples. It's kind of like a fresh, but then it has a very particular finish which is kind of like cloves and stuff. This is bottled at 43% ABV. There it goes. And I really like the packaging of this one, and I'm a very big fan of Japanese art. And then this it's a classic samurai on the front with gold label. It's a really pretty packaging. I personally think that this is, if you can get your hands on Shinobu 15, this is gonna increase in value a lot, because I reckon that the master blender for this distillery is actually amazing. So you see that the color is actually quite dark, not as dark as a 10-year-old. Interestingly enough, that's the color there. So I'm assuming this is has a lot of Cherry Cask influence and as well a little bit of American oak. But this is all Shinobu's natural color, so they don't add any coloring whatsoever. So what you see is basically what you're getting. Yep, that's delicious. You can definitely taste the coconut or smell the coconut. It's not as coconutty as the 10-year-old for some reason, but it's delicious. Yeah, you can get the spiciness and the chewiness from the Cherry Cask. There's a little bit of sweetness there from the American oak, and then there's definitely that little coconut flavor that you get from the Mizunara cask. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. We'll see you next time, and if you guys have any requests for any particular whiskies, just let us know and we'll review it. Slanjaba.